Welcome back to LEAKK News, reporting live from Syria underground, and thank you for joining us. During this segment, we will be discussing Syria and the progression of the civil war over the past couple days. We will also review Assad's options for the regime, and we'll hear from Emma Keeney about a car bombing in Damascus that left 6 people dead.
Mr. Assad is running down his financial reserves so quickly that he will be out of money by April at the latest. If that happens, he would have to make the choice of surrendering or solely depending on their ally Iran. In the last 6 months, the rebels have spread across Syria and intercepted crucial supply routes, making it more difficult for Assad to supply his forces with the basic necessities, most crucially fuel. Although Iran is still able to get oil, it is becoming increasingly difficult to obtain the necessary amounts of these supplies. Assad's response has been to pull back their forces to Damascus and other large cities, making it easier to feed and arm them without having their supply lines intercepted. This also forces the rebels to extend their own supply lines and communication, which generally begins in Turkey and the northern border region. But the price has been severe. Mr. Assad has also seceded most of the rural parts of Syria to his enemies. One power station complex south of Damascus supplies electricity to perhaps 8 million Syrians in the capital and the surrounding region. If the rebels were to seize or sabotage the station, then the central government would probably be unable to function. Already, ministries are barely working, with the phones in the foreign ministry ringing unanswered, and officials deserting their posts.
Thank you, Lindsay. As the regime dies by inches before his eyes, Mr. Assad has 3 prominent options. The first is to go to one of their allies, probably Russia or somewhere in Latin America. Last month, his deputy foreign minister visited Cuba, Ecuador, and Venezuela, perhaps preparing the ground for the leader's exit. But Mr. Assad has insisted that he will live and die in Syria. His second option would be to battle on, perhaps gambling that his enemies might make some huge mistake. Finally, Mr. Assad could abandon Damascus and retreat to the traditional stronghold in western Syria. This might buy his survival, but he would cease to be a president and become just another warlord in a partitioned country. Now over to Emma Keeney for an update on Damascus.
Yesterday, in the Khabun region of Damascus, a car bomb exploded, leaving 6 people dead and 10 wounded. This tragic event occurred in a small marketplace, severely damaging surrounding buildings. While the official Syria Arab News Agency blamed the bomb on terrorists, the usual suspects, a witness of the bomb, Lena Shami, blames the bombing on the government. We have field reporter Catherine Hodgkins at the scene speaking with Shami right now. Over to you, Catherine.
Thanks, Emma. I'm here with Lena Shami, who was a witness of the car bombing in Damascus yesterday. Lena was a witness to this horrific event. So Lena, who do you think is really responsible for these car bombings?
Well, a lot of people think it's the terrorists, but in my opinion, I think the government is to blame. We know that there's a majority of Sunni population there, and we know that the rebels are a majority of Sunni. So why would the government not take it in their own hands to stop them?
Well, would you consider yourself one of these rebels?
I wouldn't consider myself a rebel, but I would really like the war over as soon as possible and return to a peaceful Syria.
Okay, thanks Lena. Back to you, Emma.
Thank you, Catherine. Glad to have Lena give her opinion on the matter. While this car bomb disaster was going on yesterday, the Syria Arab News Agency informed us that a Syrian state television cameraman was shot outside of his home in Damascus. The man was named Haider Smoudi and was the 9th employed journalist to be killed by an anti-government terrorist group. No one claimed responsibility for the shooting, but many armed terrorist groups have been suspected, which is why the Syria Arab News Agency predicts that they were involved with the car bomb as well. Research is still being done on the story, and as information surfaces from this unfortunate tragedy, we will continue the updates. We'll be right back after this break.
Do you guys want some kitty's milk?
No, we're busy.
Alright, have fun.
Just you know why you and I will by and by. No. true love way.
أبدأ نقول للكيتري.
Sometimes we
Emma, do you want any kitty's milk?
No.
just you know why you and I will buy and buy. No
أبدأ نقول للكيتري.
Today we have the Syrian rebel leader Moaz al-Khatib joining us. Thanks for coming, Moaz.
Glad to be here, Kira.
I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding your departure from Syria and the regime.
Of course.
Did you have any political ambitions upon leaving Syria?
No, never. It never even came across my mind before. I always wanted to be involved with community and charity work, but the current circumstances are what got me into politics, to defend the rights of the Syrian people.
One of the main concerns about the Syrian National Council was that it was not representative of all the different sects within Syria. Is your coalition representing all of the different minorities inside of your country?
The internal system it has allows it to be open to subscriptions by the various opposition forces. The coalition takes in a wide number of Syrian opposition, groups like revolutionary, civilian, and military ones.
Do you feel that the international community has done enough to help Syria?
Not at all. The international community has fallen short in its support for the Syrian people. For 20 months, the Syrian people have been slaughtered. The international community only started to wake up now, and that's only because of the media.
Of course, the main concern that the U.S. has had about giving weapons to the rebels is that these weapons might end up in the hands of extremists. How can you guarantee it that the heavy weaponry wouldn't end up in the hands of extremists? And how concerned are you about the problem of extremists operating inside Syria?
I think the media has exaggerated this whole thing. The people are suffering from this in Syria. We should try and look at the positives and the negatives. None of the groups operating from inside Syria have showed a negative stance towards the West.
Let's talk briefly about the situation on the ground in Syria. Do you think that the regime is close to falling?
The regime is becoming weakened and the revolutionaries on the ground are getting stronger. The morale of the people who rebelled against the injustice is getting higher. In any case, the regime is settling down and coming to an end.
When the regime falls, will you go straight back to Syria?
It all depends on the work requirements and the needs of the Syrian people. There's no doubt that I will visit the country, but I couldn't say how or for how long. This depends on what will need to be done after the fall of the regime.
Would you like to be the president of Syria once the regime has fallen?
I'm not thinking about that now, and I wish for the Syrian people to get their freedom. Then it will be up to them to decide what they want to do. Right now, I don't want to think about that.
How has the U.S. administration affected Syria, in your opinion?
The U.S. administration has a big weight in influencing global decisions. And when the United States takes such a leap, this would be similar to an announcement to the international community that this regime has fallen and that there's a new entity shaping up.
Do you think this step is important, or do you see it as too little too late?
No, it is an important step. It is much anticipated and it would have a huge impact in holding back this regime.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Khatib. Back to you guys in the studio.
On Sunday, December 16th, at least 8 were killed after Syrian jets bombed the Yarmouk camp, a Palestinian refugee camp in southern Damascus. They were killed when airstrikes hit the Abd al-Qadir Husseini Mosque, in the camp that was being used as a makeshift shelter for more than 600 people who had escaped heavy fighting in neighboring districts. Abu Muhammad, a resident in the area, said that a second bomb struck close to a school that was also filled with refugee families. Although the people taking shelter in the Fallujah school are afraid, they really have nowhere else to go, Muhammad said when talking about the refugees. And now here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Kira, want any kitty's milk? No thanks, I have my water.
just you know why you and I will by and by.
أبدأ نقول للكيتري.
making it more difficult for Assad to supply his forces with basic necessities. Most crucially, okay.
Over a little bit. Both of you move over.
Okay, wait.
Why are you laughing, Kat?
I needed.
Look what she was looking at.
What?
She was looking at this fish thing that looks like
On Sunday.
On Thumba?
Okay, now we're at slang news. On October 22nd.
Welcome.
Where'd that go?
Where'd your mom go?
And take 2. Action.
It's twitching.
Now we're getting ready for the Lena Shami scene. A witness of the bomb, Lena Shami, blames Shami, Lena Shami.
Yeah. I just keep wanting to.
Oh yeah, she's in our art class.
Okay, this is awkward.
One time I hit her in the face by accident.
oh my god.
Every time she
One time
she sees me, she calls me face puncher.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Take 199.
Take your butt out of here.
Just like a single.
Do not throw snow at me.
in Syria.
Okay, I don't know how well you can see me, but this is Kira, and it's cold outside.
You're just a weenie.
Oh, okay. Anyways.
Here we are. It's like 1 o'clock. We've been filming for 2 hours.
Maybe a little longer.
Go. We're getting tired of it.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that was 2 things.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm on the computer.
I keep forgetting I'm wearing a beard.
Are we here?
Yes.
Do you feel that the international... Do you feel that the international... Beard? It's the beard!
Wait, can we just film the cat for a little while?